Hello, I'm Ray Bradshaw and this is a Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Tuesday the 27th of January. And today we're looking at what's going on in the Championships and Leagues 1 and 2.
Really poor from the goalkeeper Stuart. St Johnstone trying to play a short one out. It's been intercepted by Fraser. He's just flashed it right into the roof of the net. 1-0 Dunfermline.
St Johnstone's title hopes take a dun at the hands of Dunfermline, and Partick Thistle took advantage to close the gap at the top, and it's all changed at the bottom of the table.
What a brilliant goal that is from Wraith Rovers. Absolutely magnificent. From one end of the pitch to the other is Josh Mullen. It's a great piece of play. Wraith 2, Queen's Park 0.
A win for Wraith over Queen's Park, coupled with a win for Ross County, puts the Highlanders off the bottom of the table. In League 1, are we going to see the tightest chase for the title in Scottish football as only goal difference splits the top two? And in League 2, are the other teams in danger being dragged into the dreaded playoffs? We've got all you need to know about who's up and who's down beyond the Premiership.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Yeah, it's a great start to a podcast when I get to say about Partick Thistle gaining momentum. Let's be honest, Friday night might not want to do Saturday morning's podcast, but that's a different thing. We've got two guests today. First up, we're joined by Craig Telfer from A View from the Terrace, the presenter. Craig, how are you?
I'm very well, Ray. Good to see you this morning.
I know, I can't wait to chat to you about Stenhousemuir because I think, do you feel this? You're kind of become synonymous with them. So now that you've lost another famous fan in Isaiah Whitelock, that you're next in line that people think about Stenny? Are you one of the go-tos? You and Michael Palin?
I just need Michael Palin and Marlon from Emmerdale to disappear, and then by default I probably rise to number one. So fingers crossed.
Great. And we're also joined by Ryan Flynn, a both midfielder, former St Mirren, even Wrexham when the money wasn't there, which is a sad time for you, Ryan, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Ryan, there's only one place to start, let's be honest. Have you recovered from your wind chill on Friday night?
I've thawed out now, eventually.
What was it like to play in? Because it was...
honestly, it was brutal. It was brutal. You're going into a football match not enjoying 1 minute of it. You're just sort of waiting for the end of the whistle, and hopefully you get the 3 points at the end, which didn't eventually happen. Ryan Lee has been our referee when we played Partick Thistle at home early in the season. It was really windy that day. But this was a different level. It was just impossible to play from. I mean, everyone's seen that on the TV on a Friday night. Some people, as I've just heard before this podcast started, were nice and cosy watching it. So, it was very difficult.
Yeah, how did you describe it there? Not enjoyable. You didn't want to be there. You knew you would probably not get 3 points. Very similar to how I felt when Gary Caldwell was the Thistle manager. That's nice. Right, there's plenty to get into with Ryan and Craig today. So let's begin in the Championship. And let's go to the top of the table. St Johnstone losing, my beloved Partick Thistle winning. Reduces the gap. The two teams play each other, and Thistle could go top of the league, I think, for the first time this season on Friday night. Craig, did you expect St Johnstone to drop points against Dunfermline?
To be honest, no. I thought that might be a bit quote-unquote after the Lord Mayor's show for Dunfermline Athletic after getting that phenomenal win against Hibernian and putting a lot into the match and it being quite an emotional way to finish it. I wondered if going into this game Dunfermline would be a wee bit drained, but that certainly wasn't the case. I don't think it was the best game of football we're ever likely to see this season, but Robbie Fraser scored a really, really nice goal just after the interval to effectively win the game. And Neil Lennon, speaking after the match, full of praise for him, full of praise for his first touch that basically put him through in goal and a wonderful finish to blast the ball in. But I didn't expect Dunfermline to win this one. I'd expected a bit better from St Johnstone. I think they looked a little bit flat in this game. I don't think Dennis Memmott was really called into action up until the very end of the game. He had to pull off a really good save to deny Sam Stanton. Other than that, though, I thought Dunfermline were able to hold them at arm's length. And I think that for Dunfermline, it just continues this. I think they're a team that have got quite a high ceiling. I think they're quite an exciting side to watch. I think when they're on it, they're perhaps one of the most attractive sides in the Championship. But for St Johnstone, I think there's a couple of areas they need to address. I think recalling Taylor Stephen from Arbroath is a good move. I think he has really come on to a game over the course of this season. And I think that Valakari's got a wee bit of time now, probably just like a week or so. He really needs to get a centre forward in. You know, Adamus Sidibe's future's up in there. And I think that's a position that they're lacking in. So a lot to play for now. I'm really looking forward to the game on Friday as well between the two sides.
Yeah, they've been saying they've been looking at Josh Fowler from Queen's Park, Ollie Shaw from Hamilton as well. Ryan, before we get on to the question I was going to ask you, what is it like when, like Craig mentioned there, Taylor Steven gets recalled? Is it literally a case of you go into work and someone's there one day and they're gone the next? What happens?
Especially when he's a car school member for me. It definitely affects me big time. I mean, Craig's right. From St Johnstone's point of view, it is a clever move. Recalling him, he's a player that's really hit the ground for us. His attacking abilities, his flair, he's a bit of a maverick off the cuff that St Johnstone could be lacking. It's quite funny. I just think it sets it up perfectly for Friday night. St Johnstone have scored the most goals, conceded the less, won the most games, lost the least. But there's Partick Thistle that could go top of the league on Friday night. And I think as much as people look at St Johnstone are they faltering at the top of the league, really you've got to credit Partick Thistle that are really pushing them. If you're looking at the squads, without a doubt, St Johnstone's squad's by far the strongest. They've got Jack Baird on the bench, who's been a captain at a championship club. Stevie Mallon coming off the bench. They're taking off their captain at times during games. The front four has got so much quality within that, and then you're calling a player that's doing so well in the championship. They definitely are the top team. All the pressure is on St Johnstone. Simo Valakari has got to just keep them calm and win the game. I think it's a big week. They've obviously got Ayr as well tonight. So they've got a quarter-final and then a title sort of decider. It's fascinating for the Scottish Championship, and from the neutral or the ones chasing them behind, you're just really enjoying it and going to watch the game on Friday night.
Yeah, from your point of view, you mentioned all those stats. You didn't mention the fact that Thistle have missed 3 of their last 3 penalties, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Anytime you get one now, you're like, oh God, I wish we could just sign James Tavernier. For you, Ryan, in terms of playing against both sides, who's the better team? Who do you think will go on and win the league this year?
I'll just go for strength and depth. I would say St Johnstone, from probably all the sort of facts I was just saying before. But that's what it is. You've got to credit Partick Thistle. People are talking about the football that St Johnstone are playing. Partick Thistle have played some great football throughout the season, had some great attacking threat. But then I love how Mark Wilson, he sometimes mixes it up, and probably Whittaker was, when I was listening to his interview, he seemed surprised sort of that the combativeness of the midfield and how they won the second balls and they won the battle first and really took them by surprise and got ahead in the game at the weekend. So I think all the credit has to go to Mark Wilson, how he's galvanised that squad and got them pushing and believing. I think that squad believes that they can go and win the league, and when it comes to Friday night, they'll be looking to win that game and go top of the league, and then they're the ones that are the chasers. And how does St Johnstone react to that?
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. When you look at the teams you mentioned, Craig, you mentioned Dunfermline there. Thistle beat Ayr United 2-1. Scott Brown getting a red card at the end, which is always class to see, in it. They've only won 1 of their last 5. He has been backed quite a lot.
Yeah.
Telfer, do you think he's going to last the season, Scott Brown?
Well, you know what, you talked about him being well backed. I see they've signed another goalkeeper earlier in the week. They've got Max Thompson on loan from Newcastle United, and I read a stat that says in his he's been managing Ayr United for just over 2 calendar years now. He's signed 8, or he's played with 8 different goalkeepers. That just seems remarkable to me. He's a man who's addicted to goalkeepers, and weirdly enough, one of the goalkeepers who he deemed not good enough to play for him, Josh Clark, made an amazing save from George Oakley at the weekend there, effectively won Partick Thistle the points. So it's funny how things work out. I was thinking about Scott Brown and about Ayr United, and it maybe touches on points that Ryan's made. The fact that you've got Partick Thistle, who I think a lot of people would fancy them to struggle this season, given the upheaval over the summer, given the fact that the sporting director, Ian Baraclough, had a really bad injury. There was a bit of uncertainty as to what they were going into this season. The fact that they've done so well, and the fact you've got Arbroath doing so well as well, effectively, Kate's saying this, but the part-time team in the full-time division, the fact that they have gone beyond anyone's wildest expectations, and they're now, you'd fancy them to finish in the top 4 this season. I think when you look at how well those 2 teams are doing, it perhaps brings into focus Ayr United's failings, And I do think that perhaps behind St Johnstone and Ross County, I would say that Ayr United, on paper, have got one of the best budgets in the division. And the fact that they've fallen out of the top four now, being replaced by Dunfermline after that win against St Johnstone, it doesn't reflect well on the manager. I'd still expect him to be there, but I still can't quite make up my mind what kind of manager Scott Brown is, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree, because it seemed like when you did the playoffs last year, it kind of bounced on that way, and it's just not happened at all. And just to back up what you were saying, Craig, when I interviewed a couple of Thistle players, they said they thought the target this season, at the start of the season, would be 6th place, because based on that. So, Ryan, when we go to the bottom of the division, a huge win for Ross County. Stuart Kettlewell's got in 3 unbeaten after a shaky start. Queen's Park now bottom of the league, County ahead of them. Where do you see this one going?
I think that's Ross County turned the corner, if I'm being honest. I think from the weekend, Phillips's goal was the biggest goal at the weekend. In general, I just think Ross County will now kick on. They'll look more secure, not shipping as many goals. I think they'll have a belief that they can now push on. Initially, they'll still be worried about the drop. They've got a couple of big games coming up. They've got Morton, then they've got Queen's Park in the league. You've just beat Airdrie. This could be the moment that you could put everything to bed and you could start looking up. As we know, as you've just spoke about all the things in the Scottish Championship, it's unpredictable. You're never going to be able to judge anything like Partick Thistle flying in the league. I still see Ross County being safe. I think they'll be comfortably safe by the end of the season. They've got enough quality within that squad. I think they'll be safe. On the flip of that, you were talking about St Johnstone, can they steal Josh Fowler? I think Queen's Park need to keep a hold of him if they have any chance of sort of staying up, because I think he's a player with real quality and can change a game within a second. So we've got Queen's Park coming up soon. But before that, Queen's Park, I'll probably look to put on a bit of showing of themselves playing Raith Rovers again tonight in the KDM. So that'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, because they won't be pleased, obviously, going to Starks Park and it was a 4-1 victory and a very comfortable performance. Probably on the back of that, Doug Emery will be thrilled, and then seeing his striker score 3 goals. I don't know if you've seen it. He's putting his thanks to a fan that Jack Hamilton he backed him in Costco when he's filling up his car. So I was reading that and I thought it was quite funny. I think it was Rafe TV that it was announced on. But his 3 goals were thanks to a fan in Costco. So Rafe Rovers fans are definitely helping their team, that's for sure.
That feels too American for me. Don't like that. Well, you've mentioned it. Both you have a vested interest tonight, because we do have the KDM Evolution Scottish Challenge Cup quarter-finals tonight. I'll run through the games. We've got Arbroath against Airdrie, M&S Cardiff Thistle against Stenhousemuir, Queen's Park against Raith Rovers, and on BBC Alba at 7:30 tonight, you've got St Johnstone against Ayr United. Just quickly, Ryan, cup run, you confident tonight?
I think you're always at home. You want to win your home game. I mean, I've spoke before about Airdrie. I think Airdrie are a very good side, and we've struggled at times against Airdrie. They always compact the midfield and make the game really difficult for us. At the start of the season, Arbroath have never won the Challenge Cup. That's probably one of the things we earmark. Can we stay up, and then can we have a run in the Cup? It looks like we will stay up. That's always been our aim from the start of the season. And we want to go as far as we can in this competition. If we win this, we get another home tie. So that's a little carrot for us as well.
And it's big prize money as well, isn't it?
Yep. And that's exactly what the club will be wanting. Every pound's a prisoner at Arbroath, that's for sure. So yeah, we'll be looking. It'll be a tough game, but we're at home, and you've got that carry another home tie is definitely an incentive for us.
Yeah, it's got to be expensive to keep that wind machine keep going for every Friday night game. So the electricity bill must be high, Ryan. We get that. Let's go into League One. Craig, this is where you come into your element here. M&S Cardiff Thistle are top again on goal difference and have a game in hand over Stenhousemuir. Stenhousemuir on a great run as well. You've got Queen of the South on a great run. We mentioned that you're playing Inverness Caley Thistle tonight in the Challenge Cup, Craig, but let's look at the league first. What's it been like? Is it squeaky bum time yet? What's happening?
No, it's not squeaky bum time at all. It's actually very slippery bum time more than anything else. There's none squeaking here, Ray. I think that going into this season, I think everyone knew that Caley Thistle were the favourites to win the division. I haven't really seen anything to change that. I know they had a very sticky period when they picked up 1 point out of a possible 9, but I think they've corrected their course there with the win over East Fife in midweek, and then a pretty comfortable win over Alloa Athletic at the weekend there when they came from a goal down to win that match 3-1. And I do think that Caley Thistle, they've perhaps got the better players. I think they've got quite a deep squad, a deep bench that they can call from. But it's just following the Warriors just now is brilliant fun. I was there on Saturday late kickoff against Kelty Hearts. A difficult game to analyse, with Jack Bryden getting sent off after 16 minutes, getting sent off conceding a penalty. And it was quite straightforward for the Warriors from that point on. They could have been, the advantage could have been even greater. Matty Aitken missed a penalty at the start of the second half. And from that point on, with a 2-0 advantage, it's just about game management, and it was just quite a very comfortable performance. But it sets things up really, really well. Stennismuir have got Peterhead on Saturday. That's a team who they've got a really good record against. Played them 3 times this season, beaten them 3 times. And then you've got Queen of the South against Inverness Caledonian Thistle. Queen of the South, I know they lost to the Warriors, but either side of that have been on a really good run of form, and they comfortably, very capably dispatched East Fife at the weekend, beating them 5-1, forcing Dick Campbell to use a curse word in his post-match interview. That's how much of a doing it was. So I think that is perhaps one of the biggest games of the weekend at Palmerston. Really, really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. So very interesting race developing at the top of the table. It's a good league to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, if you can, seek out that Dick Campbell interview. It's very funny, where he says he's going to take all the blame, and then about 30 seconds later takes none of the blame. Beautiful to watch. Ryan, when you look at the top of League One, Inverness Caley Thistle, like Craig said, have been the favourites all season, but Stennismuir just don't go away. And now Queen of the South, 3 points behind both of them, albeit Caley Thistle have a game in hand. It's heating up nicely, isn't it?
Is what I love about it. It's not teams faltering at the top of the league, and you're wondering, who's going to take the league by the scruff of the neck and really put a run together and get to the top of the league. It's all teams, I think, pushing each other. You're going into the game, you have to get the 3 points. It's interesting, obviously, you're looking at the form table, and Queen of South are the most formed team in the league, and they're sitting third, 5 wins at the last 6. So no, it is really interesting. I still fancy Inverness overall. Craig probably doesn't want me to hear me say that, but I've always fancied them this season. I just think like going and playing Alloa, going 1-0 behind, I don't think there was a panic. They won the game differently. It's always normally the footballing ability that we talk about and passing teams off the park, going through the thirds, but it was set pieces that they won the game with that Andy Graham definitely wasn't happy with in his post-match interview. So yeah, I just think they've got a bit of everything. They sort of win games no matter what the conditions are, what's thrown at them. They've just got a mentality, and I think a quiet confidence that they are the ones that will go and win the league. It'll just be a tight playoff challenge between everyone else, and I think that'd be harder to call who will go up or stay up from the Scottish Championship. I think that. Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to see who's going to go playoff, who's going to win league. But Craig, is it a bit easier to see who's going to maybe go down automatically now? Kelty feel a little bit doomed, and Cove have got their act together, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say it was quite difficult to judge Kelty. It was quite difficult to judge them the weekend, given the fact that they spent 75 minutes playing with a man disadvantage. I think that they're good in the middle of the park. They can pop the ball around quite well. I think Alex Ferguson's a good wee player. Good to see him coming to. He had a couple of failed loan spells, but it's good to see him sort of coming back to prominence. And I think he works well with Aaron Arnott in the middle of the park. The thing that they really need is they need a centre forward. I think that they're maybe fingers crossing that Rico Dyack doesn't quite, he's gone back to Partick Thistle. He might not fit into what Mark Wilson's looking to do and might have to go back and play for Kelty Hearts. I think there might be the fingers crossed that that's the case. If not, however, then I think that Tamilware really needs to get someone in, because they've got a lot of players who are busy and will harass you, but there's just not a lot of like ruthlessness or clinical quality up front. So I think that's what they need if they want to stay up. And it is just a wee bit of a gulf between themselves and Cove Rangers at the moment. And Cove, they've entered into cooperation partnership agreement with Aberdeen, and then the 3 players who were on loan at Kelty Hearts at the start of the season have now gone to Cove Rangers in a sort of weird twist there. But I think that I say this every time we talk about Hamilton Academical, to bring them into it. It just feels like something else, something else bad is going to happen to them, another punishment. And I get the feeling that with the final week of the transfer window, Ollie Shaw, Kevin O'Hara, Stephen Hendry, Kyle McDonald, you can see these guys perhaps moving on elsewhere to help the club balance the books. Some pretty unpleasant figures about how much money they're in have been released there. So I think there's perhaps a 3-way dance at the bottom of the League One at the moment.
Let's turn our attention to League Two, where Spartans have been setting the pace, but they lost at the weekend. East Kilbride lost the weekend. It seems like, Ryan, did no one want to win this league? What's happening?
It's probably the opposite of what I would probably just said about League One, where everyone's pushing each other. These teams are falling at the top of the league. It makes it nicely watching from the outside. It was a good victory. I mean, it was some own goal in the Clyde game from Jordan Tappin. It probably just shows you how hard the conditions are. It can make players, you can get embarrassed with sort of things like that. I can't call it. Probably from the start of the season, I said Spartans. I thought they'd be the ones that could win the ugly games. But East Kilbride, it can be sometimes when they're good, they're really good. When things don't go well, they can really get overturned. And it was a convincing victory from Stranraer at the weekend. They're all playing tonight, the top 4, which will be interesting. Obviously, can East Kilbride bounce back against Spartans, who are looking to bounce back as well from the weekend? So in quick games, sometimes when you get disappointing results, especially when you're trying to go for the league, that's exactly what you want. No bigger game. Title clash tonight. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top of that.
Yeah.
But I'll probably keep backing with my initial thought of Spartans to win the league.
Yeah, I've got my ticket actually. I'm going to that game tonight actually. I've got the hottest ticket in town. I'm going to K Park for this one. So I'm really interested to see how they get on. They've played each other 3 times this season. The Spartans have won all 3 matches. So it feels like, I think the Spartans can afford to maybe draw this game. But I think if they win it, it's very difficult to see East Kilbride closing the gap, even though we've still got so much football to play. Yeah,
the last time I was at K Park, the guy in front of me in the pie queue was wearing a bow tie. So what a stadium. What a stadium.
You should have said hi, Ray.
Imagine. Stranraer got a good result actually against East Kilbride, like you mentioned, after that potential body blow of losing 200 grand in that Rangers Cup tie with a potential cup tied goalie. And when we look at the bottom league, like you said, Spartans East Kilbride tonight is huge. If Spartans win, they go 8 points clear, and you struggle to see East Kilbride, who've won 1 of their last 5, catching up with this. When you go to the bottom of the table, obviously, it was well documented about Edinburgh City and Dumbarton both having issues. They're the 2 teams not languishing at the bottom. You look at your Elgins, your Annans, are only 3-4 points in 8th and 7th place, but Edinburgh City 5 points adrift. Craig, do you feel like this could be their time?
I've said a number of times in this podcast I still fancy Edinburgh City to finish in the playoffs. I think I might need to revise my prediction after the weekend there. This was a huge blow for Edinburgh. To see Dumbarton chuck away a 2-goal lead against Elgin City, that was huge. But then to do the same thing yourselves against Annan Athletic, concede a 94-minute equaliser to Josh Dixon. That must have been heartbreaking. However, I watched Michael McIndoe's post-match interview. He was surprisingly chipper given the situation that his team found themselves in. But just how the positivity from what he saw from his players, I was watching the interview, there's that sort of optimistic lunatic that I've kind of fallen in love with. And I think that he's turned his team over. You know, there was post-match interview he'd given earlier in the season where really unhappy with his defenders in particular, unhappy with his players, accused them of bottling, trying to close the gap on Dumbarton and Forfar and Elgin above them. But now he seems to have got his mojo back. They've released a whole load of players. They've signed a lot of players. Got a bunch of guys who have left East Kilbride, like Eric Sula, James Lyon, Uzi C. They've come into the fold. So if he's confident and believes his players can do it, then I'm certainly confident his players can do it. They played Dumbarton at the weekend there. This is a huge match. This is another 6-pointer, and it feels like Edinburgh City really, really need to win this game if they're serious about avoiding finishing bottom.
Yeah, it's going to be... Do you know what? Scottish football's just class, isn't it, Ryan? Like, see when you see 6-pointers here, 6-pointers there. Do you know if you're starting tonight yet?
I don't know, obviously. Part-time, we'll just turn up at the game and we'll find out there. So not had any training sessions. But no, I'm looking forward tonight. I'm fit, I'm available. I'll be looking to start, that's for sure.
How sad was that, you doing a plea to your manager on a podcast? Come on, just text them like the rest of the people. That's all we got time for. Many thanks to Ryan and Craig, and thank you very much for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. Like we just said there, 6-pointers all over the shop this weekend. Get down to your local game, watch your team win or lose depending on who you support if you're a St Johnstone fan, and hopefully next time we do this, Partick Thistle will be top of the league. Thanks for listening, bye bye.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the shorter obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line. Somebody's washing, you know.
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is, you know.
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
A ball map. Look at the ball map.
What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.